you to mute yourself. There we go. Now, please mute yourself unless you are speaking, because we have heard some strange sounds in the background in the past, trust me. And we will discuss the chat a little further as we get down the line, as well as driving while Zooming. Now, look at our next slide. Now, this gives an overview of what our fluid agenda is going to be like this morning. Yes, there is a Zoom orientation, and yes, we recognize that we have a wide range of experiences using Zoom. Those of you who have little or no experience with Zoom, this is designed with you in mind. For those of you who are co-creators of Zoom, please pretend that you aren't experts and cheer the others on. We will poll, chat, discuss, and spend a significant amount of time getting to know each other. We will take 5, followed by a review of Rotary websites. Joan Rivers asked a question once of her audiences. In fact, she always asks the questions, can we talk? Well, we'll ask you the same question. You're going to ask toward the end if we can talk. And now, notice our next slide. Now, next slide, here we are. Now, the man of the hour, the KJ to save the day, the financial planner for MC Hammer, all the way from the center of the universe in Ashland, Virginia, our smiling, fun-loving leader and SpongeBob's favorite friend, District Governor-elect Kenny James.
Good morning, guys. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to let Raghavan start a video real quick, and then I'm going to come back and talk some more.
Joe Miller, you just found the marble in the oatmeal. You're a lucky, lucky, lucky little boy, because you know why? You get to drink from the fire hose! Okay, you ready? Open wide!
Kenny, you're muted.
I knew that. I was told not to mute until I was talking. I just didn't catch on to the last part, so I apologize. But real quick on the video there, one of the things that we've learned and we've heard from a number of people throughout the years on training is, you know, wow, when I'm president-elect, one, I didn't realize I had to do all this training, and two, how intense it really is and overwhelming, especially when you go to pre-pets. So the training team and we decided, you know, Zoom has had its issues, but it's also opened up the opportunities to do things like we're doing today, that we can try to provide you some groundwork before we end up getting to pre-pets and pets. So our idea is, as Jim mentioned, is we're going to try to do as much of the training virtually in the next 5 sessions that we can to prepare you for pre-pets. Then we're going to hit you a little bit more at pre-pets. But our idea is that once you get to pets, you're going to have a lot of the things that you need, we hope, in place to be a leader during your year. And as Jim said, we're going to want some feedback and you know, thoughts from you or what you feel like you need. So not only is the agenda fluid for today that we're going to be able to adjust as your needs are, but the training sessions, even though we have stuff in place, we're going to have those fluid as well, because we really want to lay the foundation for you to have a successful year. So that's our goal. That's what we're working towards. And as Jim said too, bear with us if you're more experienced in some of these areas than others. We're not taking anything for granted. We're going to hit a lot of these things on a basic level and work our way up. Jim and I have talked multiple times, if you've been to training events or you get an email that says sign up for this on DACDB, well, we get comments, what is DACDB? From a number of people. So that's where we're going to lay the groundwork ahead of time for you. And again, if you're more advanced in some, bear with us. We are going to try to hit the basics and work our way up. As far as being district governor, guys, I just want to say it is a privilege and an honor to serve with you guys. I'm so excited to work with each and every one of you and the other president-elects as they come in and your leadership teams, because as you start forming those, we want to be a revenue or resource to help with that as well. I'm looking forward to 22, 23. And guys, it's a historic year for us. We're going to be working with the first female RI president in history. So you may have been let down a little bit as far as me being your district governor, but be happy in the fact that we have our first female president-elect, and I am totally excited. If you haven't heard her before, you will hear her multiple times, and she is totally, totally amazing. So that in mind, thank you again for allowing me to serve you guys. It is an honor and a privilege, and I look forward to meeting in person and getting to know each of you and helping your clubs as much as we possibly can. We are here to help you, okay? Keep that in mind. We work for you. So anyway, with that in mind, I cannot do this alone. So as I want to introduce the team that has been working very hard, and I am blessed to have each and every one of them, and they have been working hard to put these things together and lay the groundwork for our training as today and going forward. So you heard a little bit from the director, and I'm using the cast of characters because you will find out they are truly a cast of characters. Trust me. And Jim, if you know Jim Bynum, he has a theater background. So in honor of him, I am, we're doing this as a theater introduction, so to speak. And he is our director. He's keeping us in line. He's lining us up. He is our Paul Harris of District 7600. He is the Rotarian of Rotarians. If you haven't had the pleasure of meeting him, you will. I will say, Jim in the past has performed as driving Miss Daisy, at a local theater. I will say he is driving us crazy because he's constantly, have you thought of this? Have you thought of that? Are you going to put this in? So anyway, he is a tremendous trainer. He is a Rotarian, and he is our source of value and a wealth of knowledge. So thank you, Jim, again. And then we have the classy person of the group, the manager, the lady who keeps us all in line, and you will be working a lot with Tonda throughout your year. She has agreed to serve as Lieutenant Governor for 22-23. She is, as you can see, there's, the rest of these characters are characters indeed. She brings some class to the group. She's tremendous as organizing, tremendous reaching out, tremendous resource. But more importantly, she is a true Rotarian at heart and just a good person. I've gotten to know her over the years, and I can't say enough about Tonda. I do, when I look at her and the group that she's with, I always question, what's a girl like you doing with a group like this? But we are thankful that she's with us. And next you have Raghavan. And he is, if you watch The Wizard of Oz and you got the guy that's behind the screen, behind this curtain, that he is our great Oz. He is the one that's putting all this together, facilitating everything. And trust me, I thought I knew Zoom until I started working with him, and I have no clue what I'm doing. He's like, Jim, he's like, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about. Okay, but let's do it. So he is awesome. He's incredible. He's been tremendous as far as putting this all together. And again, can't thank him enough for all that he's done. So the last guy on the list here is our tech guru, Wayne Boggs. Wayne served under him as when he was president of the club, and he too is a true gentleman and a true Rotarian at heart. And what I love about Wayne and what he will bring to this group is if we don't know what we're doing, which is often, especially on the technology part, he will take the time and use the resources to figure it out. So he is a guy that you can lean on, guys. If you don't know what's going on, contact Wayne or Raghavan, and they will help you through all the technology. Because I know that Wayne, he has a heart of gold, and he will research and do what he can to help you guys out. So those are the group of trainers that will be leading us through the next couple weeks or couple months. And just give them a round of applause, guys, because they have done a tremendous amount of work to prepare us for today. So that said, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Wayne and get the session started.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Kenny. I appreciate that. That's very kind of you. Very kind introduction. I teach some other classes, and one of the slides I should have put on here, as Kenny mentioned, where we know that some of you are very facile with Zoom. You've used Zoom a lot, and you understand all the ins and outs of it. But at the same time, we expect there are some of you who don't know very much about it. And all we're going to try to accomplish is to bring everybody sort of up to the same general level of experience, so you can at least feel comfortable in using the Zoom screen. So what I would like to do, instead of showing you a bunch of slides, go ahead and take us to the next slide, Raghavan. The next one. Okay. We just want to build your confidence a little bit. But we figure you already know how to log in since you're here in the class. So I'm not going to get too simple about how you get to this point. But I'd like to take a little survey and see where everybody stands right now. So just tell me, swing the survey up on the screen, Raghavan, and let me know how confident you are with Zoom. You're either pretty confident in your ability to use it, or you've used it and don't know much about it, or I got logged in, but I have no idea what to do next. And just choose which one is where you are, and that'll give me a good idea. So far, it looks like we got nobody who has no idea. We've got some people who are pretty confident, about half are pretty confident, 2/3 pretty confident, and the third used it and don't know much about it. Okay, great. That's great. So we'll go. Here we go. So you guys have used it a good deal. We're going to do a few little things. I'm going to use your screen to guide you around. So if you'll, first off, if you'll point to the top of your screen, in the top left-hand corner, you'll see a little green shield with a check mark in it. And if you click that shield, it'll open a window that gives you your Zoom link and the meeting ID in case you need to call in or something. And in the top right corner of that is a little gear looking thing. If you'll click that gear, it'll open a settings window. And if you go down the settings window to statistics, you'll see the version of Zoom that you're running. Now, I updated mine earlier this week, so the current version is apparently 5.7.7. If yours is an older version of that, sometime in the next week or so, go to zoom.us on the internet and download the most recent version. That way you'll have the current version and be able to take advantage of all the options that are available that may have been added, as well as the security features that have been added. Now, Raghavan, can you just drop the share and give me back the participants on the screen? What I want you to do is change your name on the screen. So if you point at your picture, you'll see your name across the bottom of the screen. When you point at your picture, you'll get a blue mute button and a little blue ellipsis, 3 dots. Click the 3 dots, move around till you get an arrow, click the 3 dots, and you'll see a choice window. And the bottom of that choice window is rename. I want you to choose rename and add your club name to the end of your name. So
Wayne, would you slow down? Wayne, slow down a little bit and go back to it, if you don't mind. Just slow down a tad.
Okay. So just point at when you point at your window, you'll get 2 little blue boxes at the top at your picture. And the right-hand one is your other options. drop down, click that little other options box with the 3 buttons in it, 3 dots in it, and scroll down to the word rename. And it looks like most everybody's gotten there. When you get to rename, it'll open a window that lets you change your name and choose whether you want to keep that name permanently or not for future classes. Most everybody's gotten there.
Nothing happens when I click on my picture. I'm on my tablet, not my computer. Does that make a
Ooh.
difference?
It shouldn't, but it might. If you just point at your picture, you should get a hand.
No.
And okay, you don't. Okay, I'll have to do a little research on what is your club, Matara?
From Lawrenceville.
Lawrenceville.
Mhm.
Okay. Now your name should say Lawrenceville Rotary.
I'm not getting it either. This is Lori.
Ah,
I'm in
Lori. Oh yeah,
car.
you're in your car. Okay,
I'm-
Lori.
I'm
What-
at an event, but I wanted to be here for a little while, but I
Oh,
cannot
good.
figure this out.
What club are you with, Lori?
The Rotary Club of Norfolk.
Norfolk.
Yeah. Hey, one additional choice that you might have is if you're on a phone, tablet, or whatnot, there will be a section called participants. Do you see? Yeah.
Yeah.
Click on the participants. You will see the list of all the participants who are in this meeting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you can scroll towards your name, do you see an arrow mark on the right side?
Nope. You see a microphone and a video camera.
Okay. Can you click on your name?
I can rename it. Yep. And I can rename it. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not going to, but I see it.
Good. That's fine. Excellent. Excellent. So across the bottom of the screen, if you'll point at the bottom of your screen, you should see a series of little icons across there. The first one on the left being mute. And we keep you muted most of the time. You can click that, and if there's a red, and you won't, means you're muted and you won't be able to speak. But it's handy to keep it that way. But if you want to speak while you're muted, you don't have to go down and find that button. If you just press the space bar will unmute you if you're on a computer automatically for as long as you hold the space bar down. That's a handy way of getting muted and unmuted. And there's a little up arrow next to the mute button, and that just gives you some speaker options so you can change the speakers that your system is going through. Same thing for the stop video. Right next to that is your video camera. If you click that, you'll turn off your video. And the little up arrow beside that will allow you to choose which camera you're actually using. And you'll notice my background is kind of blurry. Well, when I click the little up arrow next to video, you'll see a list of options, and one of them says choose virtual background. If you click choose virtual background, you'll probably go down the page to background and filters, go down the list of settings to background and filters, and you'll see one that says none, and you'll probably see one that says blur. And that's the one I chose. I chose blur, and then it switched my option to blur, and I just closed the window. And now I got a blurred background. My background looks okay, but I thought it would be nicer if it weren't quite so distracting. Now you see Jim Bynum is sitting in front of a hotel. I assure you he's not sitting in front of the hotel. He's actually sitting at home, but that's a virtual background, which he loaded into his system. On the right to that little virtual background screen, there's a plus sign, and you can click the plus sign and add any picture that you have on your computer. The photograph will have to be on the computer first, but if you save it to your computer, then you can choose that background and make that your background. That's what Kenny did. He's got the rotary, the blue rotary background. So he can use that for his virtual background. Then across the bottom of the screen, you'll see security, participants. If you click the participants button, it'll show you a list of the names of all the people who are here today. There's a place for, and the next one you'll see is chat. If you click the chat button, it will allow you to type in a message, and there's a little box that says everyone just beside two at the bottom of that little window. And if you click down, you click that down arrow, it will show you a list of participants. So you can send a note to anyone individually and privately on the Zoom meeting. If you just type something in there and click send and just hit enter, it will then send that to everyone, and everybody will get a chat. So we've seen a couple of people. Tonda said hi a few minutes ago to everybody. So I'll say good morning to everyone. Now everybody can see my little chat. And you can open and close that window. There'll always be a little, you'll get a pop-up window at the bottom of your screen that shows people, that shows individual chats. And if there's a little red bubble, it shows you how many items are in the chat. And you can open the chat window and read all the chats. It's also handy sometimes during some of these meetings, you can in the chat drop a link to a website, for example, so that if someone says, you know, Raghavan says you should go to this website, the rotary.org website or something, he can actually copy the link to there, and you can click it from there and send it, and it'll take you right to your Rotary. Now, the next button is to share screen. I don't know that we'll be using this, but if we do, if you click the share screen, it will allow you to show your screen to all the participants. And then the last button I want to talk about on the bottom right is the reactions button. If you open that, it gives you some little emojis. Also, it gives you an applause clap icon, which you can click. And if you'll notice, my picture has a little clap up in the corner. That will come up and stay up for a few seconds, 15 to 20 seconds, and then it will automatically go away. If you click the thumbs up, you'll get a thumbs up that you can give people a thumbs up. And you can also raise your hand. If you have a question, click that and your hand will go up, and we'll try to keep an eye on the screen to be able to answer any questions that you have. So that's a kind of basic introduction. Does anybody have any particular questions right now? We're going to go through some things again. We'll have a little Zoom session at each session, at the beginning of each session, just to make sure everybody continues to be comfortable with Zoom. But that should give you kind of an idea. One more thing, in the top right-hand corner of your screen, you'll see a little box that says View with 9 buttons in it. If you click that, it allows you to switch between gallery view or speaker view. Or if you happen to get a minimized screen, it lets you switch back to full screen. If you click speaker, it will highlight the screen and maximize the picture of the speaker at the time. If you use gallery, it just fills your screen with the pictures of everybody who's participating. Anybody have any questions? Can I get a thumbs up from everybody? Everybody good? Okay, Raghavan, I'll turn it back over to you.
Hey, thanks, Wayne. As Wayne said, we'll continue to add more knowledge in the space. We would also appreciate if you can send us some questions up front in sense of, hey, these are the areas that we need more information on so that we can be better prepared as well. We do have different levels of information for those who have been in Zoom, who want to administer Zoom. We do have curated materials regarding that. If you want to do webinars, if you want to do large meetings, we have materials related to that. So, we want to make sure what we are conveying makes more sense to you. So if you have some feedback, please do provide. All right, I'm going to share my screen again.
I'm back. Okay, Wayne wanted to find out some things about you. I'd like to find out some things myself. So now I would like to conduct a short poll. And Raghavan is going to put up the poll, and the one that you just completed had to do with your Zoom knowledge. And this is this one that we're going to do now. I'm going to collect some other information about you. So as soon as you answer this question, All these questions, please submit. Okay, wonderful. So according to what I have, Ragavan, 100% of the people have answered. And this is great. We have, it's showing that 7% of the people, 7% were club presidents in 2021, and 7% before 20. And I have not been a club president, 86%. That is fantastic. And so we are going to adjust what we are doing to everybody, because just like we said, we understand that there is we have various levels of experience here. And this gives you an idea too of the levels of experience that we have. So we have basically those of you who are presidents for the very first time. Okay, now let's go to the second question. Okay. This is interesting. It's showing me that 73% are saying that they have a My Rotary account. Okay, 73%.
And
That's
Jim,
a little that's a little
Jim,
strange. Yes.
Jim, you'll notice that that it also tells you the number. So you have 11 people who are here who have My Rotary accounts, but 2 people who don't.
Yeah. Which surprises me. That does surprise me. But for the folks who don't, I have My Rotary. I don't have a My Rotary account. I have no clue. That's fine. We're gonna help everybody along. But I'm surprised at the number of people who have a My Rotary account.
Yeah, you didn't expect that many, did you, Jim?
I did not. I did not. Normally, when we have people in, it doesn't matter whether they are presidents, past presidents, or what have you, even district governor elects. Many of them don't have a My Rotary account. This surprises me a great deal, but that's good. That's good. Like my buddy says, it's all good. All righty. Thank you so much. Now we know where to go from here. In 1969, Gladys Knight and the Pips came up with a record they called "I Heard It Through the Grapevine," and it's always been one of my favorite records to dance on. For those of you who are not in the senior citizens group, that was what we call rhythm and blues or rock and roll. Okay, now "Heard It Through the Grapevine," and this is what we would like for you to respond to this morning. I believe, or we believe rather, our team believes that there are things that you've already heard about Rotary and about Rotary training. Okay, so for the next few seconds, Wayne, you know where to find the chat box now. For the next few seconds, we would like for you to put in the chat box something that you heard through the grapevine that you think that we should consider in making your training a little sweeter. Something you think that we should consider based on what you heard through the grapevine. And you can enter that in the chat box. And then Ragavan is going to do something with that information. Okay? Any question? Enter it in the chat box, something you have heard. Okay, Ragavan, could you expose our sticky notes? Ah,
Jim, I'm trying to group the common questions
okay.
so that we know yeah, what.
Okay. All righty. Very good. So we see there are questions related to the calendar, and all righty. Okay. Very good. Very good. So you've given us some things that we need to consider in terms of sweetening our training. Okay. Thank you. We
Hey,
really
Jim,
do.
real quick, I just want to make sure that everybody knows too, and we've talked about this as a training group. Guys, feel like you can share anything. This is an open dialogue. We want to hear anything that you have, so don't hold anything back. It would help us to help you.
Mhm. Let me give you an example. We have heard, it is not rare for us to hear somebody who says, I have been in Rotary since Paul Harris was in diapers. But yet when I became club president, I didn't even know what to do. And really, you pay attention to one thing as a member, but when you get in front of the podium, it becomes a totally different ball game. Next is that we recognize that most people who become club presidents want to do a great job. They want to do a better job than they've seen other people do, but they don't know where to go to get information, or they don't really know where to go to talk to somebody who's really going to give them a real answer. We're going to give you real answers. They're going to be for real. And if you want somebody to share your concerns with, that's why we're here. That's one of the major reasons that we're going with this prelude to pre-pets, to give you a team of people that you can talk to and discuss anything about your coming role. When I first became club president, I was dumb as a handball. But that was okay. I had some people to confide in, and we want to be those people for you. Okay. But you'll get an opportunity so take every opportunity you like. And we promise you that we won't get upset with any statement you make or any question that you have. Okay. Okay. Now we are going to our first breakout session. We're going to break up, and Ragavan is going to tell you how many groups we're going to break up into. But this is what I would like for you to address during your breakout session. This is going to be your opportunity, your first opportunity to talk. We have been doing all of the talking, and now we're going to stop and start to listen to you, because we want to find out some things about you. So during the breakout, in order to find some things out about you, what we are asking you to do is to do this. During your breakout, share with the members of your group your name and your club, and we want you to complete the statement. If you really knew me, you would know, and we want you to complete the statement. If you really knew me, you would know, and you ought to complete the statement. Your answer should be a non-Rotary related answer. All right. Now we are ready to go into the breakout sessions. Any questions before we go into the breakout sessions? Raghavan, we will follow your lead.
Yeah, please give me a few seconds. I need to start assigning. So you got around 17. So I'll split it into two groups. 19, I guess. So can you just quick check? We've got about 19 participants. Make it 2 or 3.
2.
2, okay.
And then, guys, for everybody who knows this, there will be a countdown in the chat, and then if we don't move back in, it'll automatically move you back into the main group.
All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to assign you to 2 different breakout rooms. In case you lose connection, you rejoin the Zoom meeting, you can come in and go to your appropriate breakout rooms. There are going to be 2 breakout rooms. So Kenny and Tanda will be in one. They will moderate or lead that breakout room. Jim and Wayne will be on the other one. I will stay back in the main room. So in case you get lost and you disconnect, come back in, I'm there to guide you. So as Kenny mentioned, we got about 15 minutes for this breakout session. Post 15 minutes, I will be closing the breakout rooms. That will give you about 2 minutes to come back to the main room. If you don't come back, you'll automatically be moved. Okay. And if you have any questions, please stay back. I'm here to guide you through. All right, I'm going to open all the room. Here you go.
Um, okay. The very often, Penny, I'm going to give you an opportunity to say that. And what happens a lot of times is when we come back to our main group, is that you get an opportunity to regurgitate everything that you've heard. We're not going to quite do that. What I would like is just for you to, and this is totally volunteer, I'm not going to call on a soul. What I would like for you to do is to just give an impact statement. What you thought about your particular breakout session, anything that struck you. It doesn't have to be format. It can be anything you so desire. I would just like anybody who wants to volunteer to give an impact statement about your discussion group. Anybody.
I'll go if you want me to, Jim.
Go ahead.
So one of the things I thought about, just because it was talked a lot about us getting to know each other and being able to talk to each other more, network more. And I had the idea, just because I do this in at least 3 other organizations that I've been a part of over the last few years, is having a Facebook group, or as Tonda said in the chat, a group me. I think it's just a way to be able to connect quickly. A lot of us are on the go. We have other organizations that we're in, careers, all kinds of stuff, kids, whatever, you're doing on a daily basis. So it'd be nice to have kind of that quick way to bounce an idea, or even if you're in a meeting or something else and you need to bounce an idea off, I think it'd be a quick way to do that.
Oh, I like that. And Tonda Wayne and Raghavan are listening. Never heard of no, that sounds really good to me. Sounds really good. Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else? Impact statement. Impact statement. Anybody else? Okay, Paul.
I really enjoyed the breakout session and made me want to know these folks a little better. We had a really interesting variety of folks in ours. I'm sure of the 2 breakout groups, ours was probably the better one. And I look forward to getting to know the folks better. That's all.
Okay, thank you, Paul. Okay, someone else. Anybody else? Impact statement. Impact statement. Okay. Okay, we have 2 people who raised their hands now. There's somebody else. Go right ahead. Frank?
Okay. Yeah, I was just gonna say, so I figured I'm worried about finding enough time to do all this president stuff because I've had some great predecessors, and I figured if Katie can find the time to do it with 3 little boys, then I can find the time to do it. So,
Yeah. There's some interesting things that came about in that group. Wow. Okay. Somebody else. Anybody else? Anybody else?
Hey, Jim, I just want to say we have a very adventurous group that we talked. A lot of people that have no fear jumping out of planes, which was very interesting.
Jumping out of planes?
Yes, multiple.
Okay.
It was pretty impressive. I'm impressed, highly impressed.
Anybody else? Anybody else? I heard a term. We heard a term in our group. I'm not going to tell you who said it, but this term sticks with me. And the term used was a recovering attorney, and that was I never heard that before. That was hilarious. We also found out that we have a friend who is accident prone, and we found out that there's somebody else who knows him who does some of the same things that he does, but does not have the accidents. Anybody else? Any impact statement? Any impact statement? Oh, wow. Okay, there's a busy mom. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for participating in our activity. And again, we want you to get to know each other, because we talked about in our group the fact that this group should be, along with us, your support group. When you start thinking about projects and what have you, it's nice to have a group to call on and just think about this particular group. All righty, Raghavan?
I'll just change the time here.
That's all right.
Yeah, I think we are ahead of the schedule. So we'll take a 10 minutes break. I'll put a countdown timer here so that you all know when to get back. So it's 9:36 in my watch. So around 9:46 we'll resume.
Okay. So we'll be back.
And if you want to turn off your videos, and then come back, you can do that as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Raghavan, during these periods, do we have a way to get into a separate breakout room? Like all of us as you, Wayne, Tonda, and I?
Yeah, sure. You want us to get into a breakout room? I can create one.
I just.
Sure. You want to move to a breakout room? Okay.
Yeah, let's go ahead and move on to a breakout room real quick.
Okay. Kenny.
And you can stop the recording right during the break.
Good point. So I'm gonna pause placed. Oh yeah, thank you. Who did that? Thanks a lot. So you might be surprised that we have a technology committee, but I'll talk a bit about technology committee in the next slide. Today, what we're going to do is, as a team, we were discussing, hey, how do we introduce the upcoming leaders to technology or Rotary in general? We felt that there is a need to create awareness of where the information is today. Because you might want to share that information with a prospective member who's not even in your club. You might want to understand a bit more on what other clubs outside US or within US are doing. How do you go about reaching that information store? So we thought, okay, let's start with the websites, because Rotary has a plenty of websites and frankly, a lot of useful information. And we wanted to see, if that might help you get started off as a leader in the next year. Okay. Before I get into the websites per se, I just want to put a plug for my committee, technology committee. So this started in Debbie's year. So it's a very new committee, and it took us some time to even shape in terms of what should be our objectives, because technology is broad and everything that we do these days has some technology to it. Be it marketing, be it social media, be it membership, everywhere there is some technology element. So we decided that, okay, let's have a mission. We want to enable Rotary through technology. We have a few objectives called out there. We want to create awareness of technology and share best practices. Like Wayne is also in the committee, like how we are doing about Zoom. We have a lot of materials around advanced Zoom. We have materials around how to manage your websites. We have materials around how to use your social media. We are partnering with our PR chair on that. Similarly, there are good clubs out there that are far advanced in technology, and we want to learn from them, right? We want to have a forum where clubs can talk to each other to share technology knowledge. And obviously, we are here to provide guidance to you all. So anytime you feel you have a technology question or you think, we could be of help, please reach out to me or Wayne or this group for that matter. We will share our contacts towards the end. Please don't hesitate to do that. Okay. The district has invested common fund in terms of creating Zoom accounts, in terms of creating large Zoom accounts. Like, for example, if you want to have a meeting with more than 100 people, we don't want you to spend money on that. Come to us, we will set up the meeting for you. We do have other subscriptions like SurveyMonkey, vVideo that the district has purchased for some other events, and that's for a year. So if you want, we will be able to more than happy help you there. So I'll stop the plug there. More to follow, and if you have some questions around what this committee is, please don't hesitate to reach me. All right. Okay, so topic for today, Rotary related websites. So when I was thinking about, hey, how do I approach this? There are plenty out there. How can I provide a better representation? So I'm going to approach this from top level and zoom inward. So there are websites related to Rotary International, some of which we'll go through. There are websites related to our zone. I'm not sure how many in the call know there is a concept called Rotary Zone. I'm pretty sure there'll be one or two who might not even know that, but we'll talk about what a Rotary Zone is. And then, we have websites from our district. And towards the end, each club have their own websites, have their own fundraising mechanisms and so forth. So I'll not be covering the websites related to the clubs. We could probably take it later, but at least high level touch base on key websites from international, from the zone and from the district. Okay, so I'm going to spend some next 15-20 minutes on that. And if you have questions, please stop me and we can discuss. All right, this is more like all websites at a glance. Many of you had asked for the slide. We will share the slide. This is more like a click and go. We have links embedded to each of these so that you can just click and go to that particular website. I'm also trying to call out some of the key functions provided by those websites, and we will go into the details of these. Okay. All right. So from a Rotary International standpoint, Wayne had a poll early on. How many of you have a My Rotary account? How many have even accessed that website? Some of you mentioned you had no clue, and some of you mentioned you have not created an account. Okay. So I'll start with Rotary International and then work the way backward. So Rotary International has 3 major websites. Okay, one is our rotary.org, which is a Rotary International public website. When I say public, you don't need to be a member to access the content. That is primarily a mechanism for us to educate prospects who are probably potential members, or even during fundraising campaigns, we want to educate about, hey, what Rotary is. I highly recommend you look at the information from Rotary International because it's more up to date and it's a global view of what are the good things that Rotary does. Okay, so we'll go through that in a while. Then there is something called My Rotary, which is something that every Rotarian must have access to, and highly recommend, when you become the lead of your club, highly recommend you request your club members to access My Rotary and check out the options out there. Okay, My Rotary provides quite a lot of wealth of information for you as well as your committees in your next year. Your committee, some of your committee roles will be expected to go to My Rotary to do some steps. For example, if you want to participate in a district grant, your club will have to define a foundation goal, and that has to be done in a location called Club Central. That is part of My Rotary. So My Rotary is predominantly for the members. So you need to have a login. After this training session, we will send you a link to a document which calls out how to request a My Rotary account. Depending on the scenario, it might take 2 to 3 days to have it fully functional. So please don't wait till the deadlines in terms of grant submission and so forth. So if you can go ahead and get your account created at the earliest, I highly recommend that. Okay, and the third major website is NPolio. I don't know the rationale of why Rotary International decided to keep that as a completely different entity. I don't know if it's to do with finance or our partnership with other organizations. But NPolio is another website that Rotary International manages, which has all the information about what we have done with polio till date. Lot of videos, lot of good information from those who got benefited from it. So highly recommend, in case you want to know more of polio, you can look at it. Okay, quickly swap the screen and open some of the websites. All right, so this is our Rotary International website. Many of you might have gone through this. This is primarily for those who are probably new to it. There are a ton of information here. You have a lot of information about what Rotary is, how did we come to being, what our foundation is, who are our leaders. One area that I'm really particular about or very happy about is we are very transparent in letting others know how we are spending our money. How much projects did we spend money on? And what area of focus did we spend our money on? It goes to the depth of calling out, hey, in this year, we spent this many millions on this area. And for that matter, we have been rated as 4-star by Charity Navigator. So all these good stuff in terms of what value Rotary brings to the world, you have those information at your fingertips in the Rotary International website. You don't need to look for it. You just send your prospective members or potential fundraising sponsors to this place to know more. So that information is in your fingertips. Okay. I know there are a few Rotaract folks also in the call. So please, feel free to look at this. It provides information about Interact clubs, Rotaract clubs, different global projects that are happening. So it gives you a overall official version of what Rotary is. Obviously, each district or even each zone, each district and each club have tweaked a bit in terms of how they see Rotary. But if somebody wants to know what is the official version of Rotary and information around it, Rotary International website is the best place to go. Okay, and this has a very good tie-up with My Rotary. It will, there are some sections that it will take you directly to My Rotary, so you won't feel you are hopping from one website to the other. Before I go on to My Rotary, one thing that I feel beneficial is Club Finder. So when I'm in a trip and I have some time to spare, I use Club Finder to know what are all the clubs out there and what time they meet. At least I could check on what other clubs are doing. So the Club Finder is a very good tool for others to know about your club, as well as you to get to know of other clubs. So this is not just in the district, this is across the world. Okay. All right. Next, we'll spend some time on My Rotary. My Rotary is, as I said before, you have to have a login predominantly. There are some areas within My Rotary that are public data. But today we'll be looking at primarily from a membership or somebody who's already a Rotarian. What are things that they can look at. So for those who have not accessed My Rotary, again, I recommend you to look at it. It gives a good information about your club. It also gives information about yourself. All these informations are fed from other systems. For example, if you have been a Paul Harris Fellow and you've contributed to it, are you eligible for a Paul Harris Society? All your history is here. Like I started probably being a Rotarian in 2012. I started in India, and then when I moved to US, I joined Innsbruck. But I also have history on Rotaract and Interact. So I have been in Interact. The reason I'm calling this out is this is a good way for others to find Rotarians. So at times I get called by Rotary International on certain specific implementation that they want to do, and they get my inputs. So there's a good way to not just contribute to your district, but also to international initiatives. So that's one area within My Rotary. You can also refer new members through My Rotary. There are two key areas that I'll go through today. I'll start with Brand Center. I'm not sure how many of you have used Brand Center. Please do use it. This is the place which provides you official Rotary logo, official guidelines on how to use Rotary symbols. You can even create a logo for your own club from here. You can also look at all the marketing materials that Rotary has for you. They do have a lot of templates. For example, a brochure about your club. You don't need to create one on your own. Just go to Brand Center and use the templates there. Okay, So there are a lot of materials that Rotary offers, like club resources. As I mentioned, you can create your own brochure for your club. All you need to do is plug and play, right? You just provide some text in terms of, okay, let me start with the template for club logo. Okay, you can create a club logo, then and there. All you need to provide is name of your Rotary club. Okay. All right. So Rotary Club of Innsbruck is where I'm from. So I just use that. And then I'm going to save this. And it allows me to download either as a PDF or a JPEG file. So you do have a bunch of options to do that. Okay. Sometimes you have to refresh a bit, and then it will allow you to download a JPEG or a PNG format file. Going back to the brand center, there are other materials that you can look at as well. For example, when you are doing formal presentations, you want a Rotary background. I know Kenny has one today, the virtual background. Rotary International has tons of virtual background for you. Be it a specific service area, or be it Rotrack, be it Pulse Polio. You have plenty of background that you can just download. You don't need to create on your own. Okay, you can also look at how you can create a new newsletter for your club, for a business card, membership certificate in case somebody is joining new. You have plenty of information here, and I am sure the current leaders in your club will guide you through some of these. So I highly recommend you to take some time to look at Brand Center and all the good stuff it offers. For example, the PowerPoint that we are using today, it is based on Rotary International's template. So I don't need to go and search for logos. All I need is download the PowerPoint template and start using the color schemas offered by Rotary International. So Rotary International comes with a set of color guidelines. So this is just one example of how you use Brand Center. Okay. All right. I know I have to rush a bit, so I'll keep moving. The next one that I want to show is Rotary Club Central. Rotary Club Central is a key component when it comes to district level initiatives, one of which is foundation. Let it take some time to open. Yeah. So in addition to you adding information, you can also learn from here in terms of what is your trend of membership in your club. A lot of good graphical user interface. Some information you might be surprised. For example, when you look at the age trends in my club, consistently see folks who are between 60 to 69 retaining in our club for long duration. Even though we always think we need more younger generations to join the club, what we also, as a board in our club, we cautiously decide how do we make sure any decisions we make does not impact long-termers in the club. So all these visuals will help in your ongoing club decisioning as well. So you have something called Goal Central. Again, your current president will walk you through this. You will be expected to add goals for your next year. We will have a detailed session around it. But just want to highlight that these are the things that comes from international. And then we'll quickly go through zone. There are 3 websites that I would refer within the zone. For those who are relatively new and not sure what zone is, so we are in zone 33. So the way Rotary administers, like a government administering a nation to a state, to a district and so forth, Rotary does that through zones. And throughout the globe, there are a handful of zones. We are in zone 33, and zone 33 is where district 7600 is, and that's where we belong to. Normally zones 33 and 34 work together because from a Rotary hierarchy standpoint, like you got Shekhar Mehta, who is the RI president. How does he work? He needs folks from from the areas within the globe. So you have a concept called RA director. So RA director is appointed for 2 zones. So our current RA director is Kenny. I don't have his picture here. Yeah. Anyways, so just want to let you know, there is good amount of information about the zone. There are a lot of leadership activities that happen at a zonal level. For example, I'm attending an event called Leadership Summit in Naples in the next couple of weeks, where I'll be meeting other leaders, emerging leaders from zones 33 and 34. And I'm sure, when you become a leader, you will be asked for, hey, who can we nominate from your club? So there are a lot of good learning events that happens that you can take advantage of. So that's zone. The second thing about zone is, Kenny, I think we'll touch base on this when we go further. The pets will happen in, or also called as Chesapeake Pets. There is a website specifically for that. We will have a registration done through that. We'll also have all the schedules and recordings, training materials, all the resources related to pets in a specific websites that is accessible by all of you. So you can look at it later. And the third website important for the zone is RLI, Rotary Leadership Institute. Okay, so we are part of Mid-Atlantic Division. I don't know why RLI has a different, their own structure, but I think RLI was started as a volunteering group of people, and then it became a full-fledged initiative. But anyway, so RLI has a different segmentation, if I call that, and we are part of Mid-Atlantic that covers quite a few states. And RLA has a lot of programs, and I'm sure you are hearing from the district leaders to participate in this RLI events. And there is one coming up in October and the next one in November for our district. We have dates in the slides. We'll go through that. So that's the third website from a zone perspective. I know I'm consuming more time than needed, but I think it's fruitful. So the next one is around district. So there are 3 websites that I would refer if I were in the district. One is our district's public facing website, rotary7600.org. This is where we communicate to the public in terms of the good work done by the district. It includes, what our district is, the district leaderships, who are all the club presidents. So all your photos and pictures will show up here. This is based on the information in DAGDB. So the next website that I will talk about is DAGDB. We also have road track clubs called out. All the district newsletters that is published by the district can be obtained from here. Good information about membership, good information about foundation. Similarly, you can see that, technology, there is a section there. And then there is a calendar for district events. So some of you had a question around, hey, can we understand what's happening? One place to go to is the DAGDB. The other place to go to is the district websites. Obviously, when you click on here, you will be taken to DAGDB, but this is a good place for you to know what are all the events that's happening, not just in the district, but within the clubs as well. Okay. All right. So the next website that I'll go through, I want to go through DAGDB, but before that, I just want to put a plug for where you typically get your Rotary supplies. Russell and Hampton is the official supplier for Rotary branded items. And again, this might come as part of your transitioning in terms of where to request for awards like the Rotarian of the Year Award, where to request badges for your members, where to request for lapel pins, and other merchandise that you might want for your club. Russell and Hampton is the official provider. Okay. I'm actually over time. I know some of you wanted to know a bit more about DAGDB. I think I'll spend more time in our next training session, but DAGDB is a big ocean. And we can go into some of the areas within DAGDB and what makes sense more for you as upcoming presidents. Okay. All right. So I have links called out everywhere. So please don't, worry that you have to make note of the links. Again, coming back to the big picture. So we went through some of the websites related to Rotary International, to our zone, and then Rotary District. We didn't cover DACDB, which we will cover next time. Any questions for me? Okay.
I think the biggest thing that I would share with the group is what you've illustrated a couple times already. This is the first time that we're going to be hitting this in the training, but it's not the last time. And we'll bring it up as often as we feel you have made the request to do that. We want, again, to make sure that you're comfortable in all the systems and everything that you need to do during your year. So if we can go ahead and lay that groundwork early is our intent. So thank you, Raghavan.
Yep. Yeah. There are some questions that I'll go through and then I'll hand over to Jim, Kenny. Regarding My Rotary, especially for marketing PR, we have a committee called Public Image. They have a focused sessions, by working with Kenny and team, we will bring the Public Image team also into one of the trainings. They have some focused recommendations on, hey, this is how, from a district, we recommend marketing and PR. So they will also help walk through My Rotary and some sections of it. Okay, more to come in upcoming sessions. There will be more focus on this in pre-pets, pets, DT, district training assembly, all the upcoming trainings. There will be special focus on public image. There will be special focus on membership. There will be special focus on foundation. So we are trying to get you the high level information so that you have some idea, and there will definitely be detailed focus session on each area specific to your club. Okay. Next is around how do we gain access to work on club websites? I can provide you the information. There are a couple of broad ways by which clubs manage their websites today. One is based on DACDB, and two, any other supplier. So if your club is based on DACDB, there are a lot of good information and support articles from DACDB, which I can share. But if your club uses other hosting providers, we can help, but we might not be fully knowledgeable in that. Okay. All right, I'll pause here. I'll stop sharing, or I'll move on to the next section.
Okay, thank you, Raghavan. Now, let me be clear about something. Let us suppose now you're president, like 85% of you are for the very first time, okay? And you go to pets and you are hit with the information, all of the information that you've just heard. How do you feel? If you've never dealt with any of this before, how do you feel? Okay. Now, for me, being hit with all of this information at one time and being able, and someone expecting me to know how to negotiate all of this information at the same time would have been a little overwhelming. Now, what we are going to do here, it is my responsibility to see that you go through things step by step by step by step, so that you are able to understand exactly what is going on. So if you were lost in any part of this, don't be concerned about it, because that's why we are here with this particular Prelude for Pre-Pets. I think that this is one of the great commercials for the need for this session, because we don't want you to be hit by all of these things at one time and not be able to negotiate it. We're going to go through things step by step by step. Ask questions all of the time. you see the number of areas that you're expected to be able to negotiate. We want you to be able to do that comfortably and know what you're doing. So we're not going to throw you to the wolves. We're not going to ask you to go out and ask this person how to do this and that person how to do that. We're going to cover as much of it as we can here. Raghavan gave you a survey, and Raghavan is going to be around to go through some of these things step by step by step. And I really wanted you to understand that before we go any further, because that's the reason for Prelude to Pre-Pets. Once you get to Pre-Pets, you're expected basically to know most of this information. And we don't want to put you in that spot. So this is the reason for it. So even if your president, current president, doesn't know as much as you feel that he should know about some of these areas, our lieutenant governor and our governor-elect has already said, we're going to even open these sessions up for them. Because in order to be a successful club in every way, when you stand, you want to be something other than the person who stands in front of the podium and calls a meeting to order. You need to know something about Rotary and something about management of these clubs. All right. So we aren't going to throw you to the wolves. We're going to go through all of these things step by step by step. All righty. Now, in our next breakout session, I want you to respond to this. I've always wanted to learn, and you complete the statement. I've always wanted to learn, and let it be a non-Rotary thing that you want to learn. I've always wanted to learn, or I always wanted to learn about, or I wanted to learn because, any way you want to complete it. All right, now I'm putting something in your chat. So while you're listening to the other members in your group, decide on these superlatives. The person who's the most quotable, the person who's most likely to appear on America's Got Talent, and the person most likely to get to talk himself out of a speeding ticket. So I'm putting these things in the chat so you will be able to decide on these people when we when we come to the group discussion. Okay? So you're to answer the question or make the statement, I've always wanted to learn what? Or I've always wanted to learn about. All righty. Raghavan, we're ready. And now I would like to, we want like for you to share with us some of the superlatives you came up with. And anyone can start. And let's start with the person you feel in your group is the most quotable. And why? Anybody can start. La 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 la. Da, 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 da. First identification, who's in the bottom right corner? Of the picture that is of the
Mariah Carey.
Mariah Carey. All right. Good. All right. Who's in the bottom left corner?
Justin Bieber.
Justin Bieber. Okay. Now, who's in the upper right corner?
Temptations.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Very good. Now we know that Kenny is in the upper left corner. All righty. So we're ready to start. Any volunteers? In your group, who's the most quotable?
Group
I'm
one.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Tonda. Go ahead, Tonda. I defer to you.
Oh, thank you. I was just gonna say, I'm gonna go with, I think it was Ryan who was talking about Penny when Penny said she wanted to get into knife skills. And because I kind of was thinking the same thing, that she meant ninja type stuff at first.
Okay. All righty. So we have Penny. That's quotable. Anybody else in your group? One other.
Group one, Wayne stood out to me from the microsurgeon to wanting to drive a bulldozer.
That's right. You wondered if that was one of his tools.
Right.
Okay. Next, anybody else? Anybody else? Most quotable. A most quotable. Anybody want to share your thoughts? A most quotable. Okay. Anybody? Well, we won't belabor it. We'll go to the next one. The one that in your group most likely to appear on America's Got Talent. Most likely to appear on America's Got Talent.
I'll jump on that one. So I
Okay,
think
Frank.
I think it's Kamal. I mean, he's been a football player. He's a kung fu artist. I mean, I think Kamal is a man of many talents there, and he's probably got more he's hiding from us.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, Kamal is quite an interesting guy. Okay, great. Anybody else? Anybody else? Share your thoughts. Share your thoughts. Anybody else? Person most likely to appear on America's Got Talent. Yeah, there's some.
I think from our group, this is Mickey.
Go ahead, Mickey.
I think Lisa and Kenny are going to both learn to play the guitar, and they will form a rock group or some sort of group.
We just need a singer.
I was like, that's scary.
Okay, that's great. That's great. All righty. Anybody else want to share your thoughts? Anybody else want to share your thoughts? Okay.
This is Ryan. I would also say Mahatara said she wants to get into blowing glass. So I thought that was interesting. So we could see that on America's Got Talent.
All right. Blowing grass to the music played by Lisa. Okay. Great. All righty. Anybody else want to share your thoughts?
I think Penny needs to demonstrate her knife skills on America's Got Talent. That could be very interesting.
Okay. All right. Anybody else?
I'd say, without a doubt, the person who's most likely to have that be on a talent show would be you, Jim. Yeah, I think you could be a great host on a nightclub or a nighttime program. You'd be great.
Well, thank you. Thank you. And I think it would probably be the person most likely to receive a what do you call that hook that you pull people off the stage with?
Yeah.
All righty. Anyone else will share your? Okay. Now, let's go to the final one. The one most likely to convince a police officer to tear up a ticket. Okay. Who do you think from your group? Paul? You're muted.
I'm okay.
There you are.
I'm going to have to give that one from our group to Lisa from South Richmond. I mean, she's got everything working for her. Easygoing, diverse interests with things, big farm. She's jumped from high altitude, loves to fish. She's got the retrievers, and I can't think of an area where she would not make somebody relaxed and just kind of engaged. And I think that it would take her less than 90 seconds to disarm any ticket that she ever received. I doubt that she's ever had a ticket.
Gotten a couple,
I'll
but
bet
I've
she
gotten out of
has.
more.
Lisa, don't you own a Corvette?
I just sold it. I'm waiting on a 22, but yes, I had a 17 and I actually got 2 tickets in that car in 4 years. So I just sold it. I got almost as much as I paid for it 4 years and 44,000 miles ago. And the timing was good. So got rid of it and I've got a new one on order. So I can't wait.
All right. All right. Wow. Is there anyone else that you noticed who might be who has that kind of talent to cause a police officer to tear up a ticket?
I was going to go with Anthony. I feel like as an attorney, he probably would question the calibration of the radar gun.
Yeah. Okay.
That used to work. Yeah.
For the rest of the group, Anthony is an attorney, or should I say, what did he the term that he used? Recovering attorney. Yeah, recovering attorney. All right, ladies and gentlemen.
My dog got me out of my last ticket.
Oh?
Yeah, I was on 460. I got pulled over, and my little dog sitting beside me, he decides to wake up, and he comes over and lays his head on the officer's arm as she's standing outside of the car, and she just says, "You can go on. You can leave."
Okay. All righty. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much. Ragavon, we're going to go to our next slide.
All right, guys, this is the part of the session that we want to turn it back over to you. I know we've done separated as far as some group sessions, and I think it gave everybody an opportunity to get to know each other a little bit better, and gave the trainers a little bit, opportunity to get to know you as well. So, but at this time, this is where Tana and I want to really hear from you. Again, Tana is going to be Lieutenant Governor through 22 to 23. She's going to be your point of contact, as well as the AGs, area governors. I know we've already thrown out a couple of things already, or we've heard from some ideas from you. So we want to turn over. You've had a taste of some training. What else do we need to provide for you? What are you looking for? What have, as Jim mentioned earlier, heard it from the grapevine, that we could make sure that we're providing to you in the future?
I really liked the idea of the Facebook group so that we can ask questions and share. I think it gives us the flexibility to interact as we need to in a group environment, but it also gives people the ability to respond, and then you can see multiple responses and get different feedback.
Okay, Tondi, you want to talk about that a little bit?
So that's something we had discussed, and I think it's a great idea because, to your point, it does serve that purpose. It also gives you a place where you can share events that are coming up with links to things again. So it's opening those doors of communication so that we can all support each other, but also get, to your point, also get quick response back on things. And that's something I can set up probably within the next week or two. And then I can send out an email to everybody. I've created a Gmail account. It's called Rotary Presidents 2022-2023. And so what I'll do is just send a bunch of links for the Facebook group. If y'all are interested, we can do, it's called Group Me. It's an app, and it's like a chat app. So it's a little more instantaneous than Facebook chatter. So that you could just, and it's kind of like a hive mind type thing. So you can kind of share ideas and go through that. So that's something else I can also set up. I can set in the past, when Kenny was talking in our group, we had a past President's Club, and we had a Google Doc share drive that we shared, like lists of speakers that everybody had access to update. So that's something we can set up as well. But if there's anything else that y'all think would be beneficial, just let me know. I'm happy to get it up and running and working to help the communication flow.
Does that sound like Katie and others? Is that right up the alley that you were talking about?
Okay.
All right, perfect. The only thing that
I think once that's set up, maybe we spend about 15 minutes just making sure we all know where it is and how to access it and that sort of thing.
All right,
maybe
Mickey, that's a great idea. You know,
That is.
yeah, and just to be as far as etiquette, because I'm on the district governor elects and we were nominees. We're on the, I call it the What's Up app. It's a WhatsApp or whatever. So, similar to what Tom is talking about, the recommendation or the what I would ask you guys, you know, communicate as much as you want or you feel comfortable. If you see like that there's a conversation that needs to be more one-off, I would say try to do that more, you know, to the Gmail or other contact directly with that person, because the complaint that we hear a lot in our group is you get a few people that are constantly talking to each other, and that I say the What's Up app is just dinging all the time because you have those private conversations. So, you know, it's going to be y'all's format. So you do with it what you want, but, you know, that would be my recommendation, you know, if you do use it, because it is a good source, you know, for you. So thank y'all for that idea and for wanting to do that. And Mickey, we'll definitely circle back around. Maybe we'll do that in the next session. Anything else, guys, that you're thinking, you're worried about?
Maybe some timely deadline, like important deadline reminders when certain things are required to be filed. It hasn't happened in our club so much recently, but in years past, I know that we've had people get into panics trying to get certain documents submitted that need to be submitted. You know, grant requirements. I know we've run up on that more recently on one of our grants, but you know, important deadlines that might get kind of pushed off to the side. You know, if you have at least a week or so to work on something, it gives you a little bit more of a cushion than if you find out a day or two before something's due or 2 days too late.
Okay.
And just to, this is Ryan, Anthony, just to piggyback on that too. When you asked earlier in the session about things that we want to know about, I mentioned the calendar too. I agree with that. It would be really helpful if, you know, I know even for next year, we have to come up with our nominating committee by the end of this year, but just to have these dates and, you know, maybe timelines when we should start thinking about these topics and deadlines and those things, I think would be really helpful. Our executive secretary stepped down and he's been with the club really since its inception 35 years ago. So we're evolving and trying to create some of these pieces, but I feel like we're playing catch up right now. And so, you know, from your level, I think it would be helpful for all of the clubs to know that going into, you know, even this year and next year would be really helpful. So I agree with Anthony. I think that would be really helpful.
Okay.
It's nothing like being asked to be an officer or to be on a committee like the day they're going to announce it to the club. And I think a lot of us have probably been there. You know, it's kind of like, you know, all those in favor, you know, step forward and everybody else steps back and there you are.
Yeah. Very good. The other thing going to the deadlines that we will work with you as well is it's important, again, this will be part of your training and bring it up, that you get your goals in my Rotary, you know, and then also your committee members for your club. So one of the things that I would encourage you, if you haven't already started, is think about your committees, your leadership during your year. You know, I know sometimes it's easy to roll over who's already there. Don't make assumptions of that. Make the personal ask, and don't feel uncomfortable if somebody's in a position and you would like to change to a different person. You know, it's your choice as the leader of the club to do that. So start thinking, if you already haven't, who's your leadership team? Who do you want in place? And then we will help you again, making sure that those things, your goals and everything's in my Rotary. Because what I don't want to do is, we've seen this in past events, is, we're at this district training and people are over on their laptops putting them, my goals in. I want this class to shine. I want us to have that ahead of time. The other thing real quick that I want to make sure that we're still listening to you as well, that in our breakout that hit me, somebody said something about visiting clubs. I know you guys have a lot on you, family, work, preparing for your year. As much as you can between now and your year, try to start visiting some other clubs, because you're going to make, again, that connection. But what you're going to get some good takeaways of what other clubs are doing that maybe your club's not doing that you could steal, and I mean, it's something that you can do. So if you can pick that up, or what I always say too is that, you come back to your club and we're not that bad after all, so take the time to visit other clubs and take that opportunity to, pick up ideas or suggestions when you can. I know that's a big ask, but it's just I think it will prepare you for your year.
Those clubs down in Honduras have really good wine and liquor.
All right. Well, we got a lot of pilots. I think we can hop on a plane. Therefore, I would like us to land and not jump out of it.
That's why those international service projects are really nice.
Right. Right. All right. There's a few others, haven't said much. Is there anything else that you feel like we want to cover? Thoughts on today as well?
Can I ask a question of the group?
Sure. You just did.
When you're receiving emails, would you prefer short, sweet emails or a lengthy email with all the information in it? So multiple emails versus a long, concise email. I mean, because I know some people are like quick read, go. Some people want all the information with the links. But I don't want to, when I'm emailing, short and sweet, thank you. I don't want to inundate people or overwhelm them to the point where you're ignoring them. So, I want to be cognizant of that too.
I would like to say, just from getting emails and stuff, I think perhaps kind of short and sweet, or maybe bullet points, but then have the option to maybe talk to somebody. I know for me, kind of one-on-one interactions work really great, because it allows me to ask the questions I need to ask. I can understand, kind of walk through things. Sometimes when I'm looking at like a really 8-paragraph email, things could get lost in translation, and I still feel like I have to come back and check in. So.
Okay. That is very helpful. Thank you.
Rhonda, I'm really ambivalent either way, but I think probably leaning more to fewer than several short with individual, subjects, because I'm one of those people that get so many emails that, and then if I'm constantly, okay, I've got to do something, I've got an action, let me find that link, and I'm searching for your name or Rotary, and then I've got 15 to individually click into to figure out the subject or what have you, or I'm weeding through a chain. So fewer is better for me, and having the links, included would be great.
Okay. Yeah. Subject line is.
Hey, Tonda.
Yeah.
Sorry, I joined from my car. I would say that would be one of the other benefits if we had the GroupMe or Facebook, is that those short, sweet, simple things you could always put in a group chat, versus like a really long email or tons of short emails. Because I'm just like others. I have 3 Gmail accounts, a work account, and several other platforms that I get messages on. So for me, the shorter, the better.
Okay. Yep. Paul, you had your hand raised.
Get on mute here. Yeah, thank you, Tonda. Not relating to that question, but just back to what Kenny was recommending in terms of, looking ahead for goal setting, as we're kind of getting to know each other, and we have these other sessions so we can have discussion about what other clubs are doing. Tonda, what have you and Kenny learned in terms of this happening every time this time of year? Are there 2 or 3 areas in terms of goal setting where you find clubs just kind of routinely having a weak spot there, or is it really just depend on the club? Is there common ground that you can, kind of have us right now talk over with our existing leadership in terms of goal setting that's going to help us look to what you guys have learned, are the things that just every year come up as being shortfalls?
Yeah, so I would say, going back to what a couple you've already mentioned, is, knowing some deadlines. Because Paul, as you know, when you end up at Pets, you're going to learn all the things you should have done, and you probably before you got there. And that goes back to, I would want to make sure all your leadership, your committees are together. But as Anthony mentioned, grants are due. Well, sometimes, for whatever reason, with some clubs, a lack of communication between leadership, that's due in May. Well, if you're just getting to your training as a president, you're going to miss out on even starting to work on a grant, because they need to be submitted by May or April, May usually. So those are the things that I've noticed has been frustration on my part. That's probably the biggest, is not knowing that deadline is actually hitting pretty much before your year starts. So you end up as a president having a possibility of going through the year and not even being able to participate in a grant.
Paul, I'd like to address part of that, if you allow me to. One of the things that we've noticed year in and year out among the clubs, which caused Kenny to come up with these sessions. One is that we find that club officers don't share things. Rarely do, or let's say too often, we find that the outgoing president has shared nothing with the incoming president. Absolutely nothing. So they come in not knowing where to start from the person that they've been sitting next to. The next area of frustration, and it can be a total frustration, is that here it is right now in we are in the latter part of September, and we don't know who all of the president-elects are. That is one of the biggest problems that we've had year in and year out in our district. And that comes from the clubs. The clubs don't decide. They say, and I don't understand what it is. You have all of these Rotarians in the club and you can't find a president. In September, you can't find a president. Now, and we're talking about clubs who have not lost people, and you've had nobody to resign or anything like that, but you can't find a leader. That is frustrating for everybody, because see, then you have to get these folks ready for Pets, and then you have officers showing up for Pets and all the other training, and you ask them, how long have you been a president-elect? Well, for about a week, and here it is, Pets is in March. So that is frustrating. We don't, and it's hard to help them. You want to help them, reach out and help them, and but now all kinds of things are due, and it's hard to help them.
Yeah, and to piggyback on that, that's a great point, Jim. Piggyback on that, not only are we being asked to train the district governor-elects, but you as a club have an opportunity to send some president nominees to Pets for president nominee training. So I would encourage you, to look at your president nominee and have the opportunity to send them, because that's going to be a benefit that they're going to pick up on the training ahead of time. And we're allowed to send, I think, around 10 per district. So going back to what Jim said, they're asking us to get names of president nominees when we have clubs that don't even have president-elects.
Right.
So, I don't think, again, Paul, going back to your question, is that continuity between, the leadership and your club presidents, I think would be key for y'all. And if you, this is what I would encourage. If you don't have it coming into your year, start building it going forward. You know, one thing that we've done as a club, and I think Paul, you have, you know, we're a number of clubs, the president and president-elects are already meeting, you know, because they want to have that smooth transition.
We found ourselves in the same situation, waiting to the 11th hour to find our president. So about 2 years ago, we decided that we were going to have a 5-year fill out. So for the next 5 years, we know who our president's going to be. We made them commit way ahead of time. I'll be honest with you, they've been asking me for years to be president. And I told them, I'm sorry, I can't do it until my kids are out of high school. End the conversation. So they knew that very next year that I would be able to do it. And I am.
Well,
But we also have another 5 years worth of presidents going on down the line. So everyone doesn't feel like, oh my gosh, who's going to be doing what and how are we going to get there?
That's awesome.
That worked out really well, quite honestly, for someone like me who is, you know, I have 2 businesses, I have 2 kids, 5 dogs, you know, it just a lot going on in my life. And I had 3 years to pull my stuff together in order to be able to prepare for this. It helps.
Well, for the rest of the group, if you don't know Mechanicsville, Randy runs that club anyway. She's been the go-to, so it's just now her opportunity to be in presidents. Other than that, they have leaned on her heavily over the years. So glad to see that she has opportunity to step up. Okay. Anybody else have a question?
My Tara does.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, I just had a question from the conversation here, and
I think we might be losing you.
Oh, sorry, hold on. I was saying, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I was just wondering why you thought it was difficult to get people into the president-elect and the president seat. I know before I signed on for president-elect, they were asking for quite a while, and then everybody was kind of like turning their head like, no, not me, too much work. And then they were like, oh yeah. And so even when I said it, they were like, all right, you're in the hot seat. But I think, you know, I was still kind of new to Rotary, and I was like, oh, okay, I'll try it. But it seemed like everybody was definitely pulling back, and I'm just wondering why now that, you know, we have more people on the line and they can be a little more transparent.
Anybody want to share their thoughts on that before I share mine?
For me, it's time commitment. I mean, it is, it's a lot.
It definitely is, and I think what you hear is you'll go to some clubs and part of the agenda of the president is the countdown of their term as their opening remarks every week. You know, 52 weeks to I'm done. And I just think that sends the wrong message to the other members of your club to step up in leadership. I think what our goal is, I totally enjoyed my year as president. I had an awesome job. I didn't want it to stop. But I think my takeaway was, and I think Tonda and the rest of this training team is because we did a lot of pre-planning before our year started. So that's what we're hoping that you guys do, is have that planning ahead of time, lay the groundwork so that if things do happen in your year, you're easy, you know, to adapt and adjust. But most of it hopefully will be laid out so that when you're leading, you are having fun and you portray that to your club. That would be my goal.
You remember we mentioned the fact that presidents don't tend to share information with the people who are coming up. And that we're going to talk about that. And that speaks to organization. A lot of the clubs that don't have officers in line is because of the fact that they don't have any kind of organizational structure, any kind of firm organizational structure. That is the biggest problem. You have at the head, the president. And that's it. And wherein we're going to show you a plan, or we're going to show you plans whereby you set up an organizational structure. And we know that people like Randy and most of us are very busy. So the more you organize, or the better you organize, then the president doesn't become the person who's the do all and be all of everything. So in some clubs, the president is the president, the secretary, the park treasurer. He has to be the fundraiser and everything else. And that's not fair to the president. So that's one of the answers. Too often the president has had to do everything. And nobody wants to do all of that because they just don't have time. But set up that organizational structure, and it's the history of the organizational structure. One year, we'll find that somebody will set up the organizational structure. Next year, it'll fall apart, and it goes in and out that way. So it'd be interesting to find out, for you to ask the question in your club, or you can ask the question of yourself: how well is my club organized? Do I have chairs of all of these committees that I'm supposed to have? What do these committees do? Who are they reporting to? What do they understand what it is they're supposed to do? In many instances, the answers are they don't have a clue, or there is no committee there.
So are you, I guess, because we have a lot of members, but we don't have a lot of participants, like people aren't really showing up, and maybe a handful of people. So if it seems like the club isn't structurally sound, are you, I mean, that suggestion that I pull out, but like you're saying, if all of the duties kind of fall on the president, or there's not good communication or good team building, is basically what we're talking about.
Right.
Does that, how does that work? Like, where does the president get that support if you're not getting it from the members in your club, in your immediate club?
We're going to talk about that as we go through various forms of training. And we aren't going to just talk about it here, but we're going to also talk about it in pre-pets and pets. And we're talking about leadership styles, and how to ask.
I prefer voluntold.
Okay, that works too.
Yeah,
that works too.
And Randy does it. Does it well.
This might be where the knives come in again. When you make your ask, you have those knives with you. You know, we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anything else, guys? This is good conversation.
I'd just add that maybe part of where you may be seeing a lack of participation is just because maybe there's a lack of an engagement. So if they were delegated a role or a committee or something to do, they might become more engaged and help you along the way because it takes it off your plate.
Yeah. Good point. And if y'all feel comfortable, we've mentioned this before, but if you, like Randy says, if you already have a president nominee in the chain and you want to invite them to these meetings, by all means, please do. When we send a calendar, we've already sent a calendar invitation out with all of the upcoming training. So we're going to have training on public image and membership and foundation. If you feel like you want to bring in your committee chair of that, by all means do it. Again, going back to what Jim said, don't lay this all on you. You know, if you feel like it's an opportunity for them to sit in on this, this is Zoom. It doesn't cost us a dime to add more people on a Zoom call. Okay.
And I think as far as trying to get other people in your club involved in your activities, it helps if you have meetings, at least occasionally, outside of your weekly club meeting. We're fortunate. We've got a really good local brewery now, and a lot of our committees and subcommittees have weekly or every other week meetings at this brewery just for like an hour or so that we can discuss the progress on upcoming activities we have. And it really gets people who attend those meetings interested in what the club does, and maybe even more interested in moving up the chain because they see how effectively things work in committees. Some of our large activities, and our activities list keeps growing, but in the old days, you really didn't have a lot of outside activities. Now, when we have these weekly meetings, even on events that are a year away, we're getting people consistently interested and not putting things off to the last minute. So if you don't feel overwhelmed as a club member, you're more likely to want to volunteer for a position in the hierarchy.
Excellent point.
I got to ask you.
For our club, I think, and maybe a lot of clubs or all clubs do this, but every time that we have new members, part of the requirements, initially are that they attend board meetings, which I think if you can get the members to actually come and attend board meetings and kind of feel a little bit more connected to the inner workings and the committees and the progress we're making and the goals and things that might not necessarily come out during your weekly meetings, is huge. And that's what really drew me in, as I just kind of jumped in with both feet and got very involved and hardly ever missed a board meeting, even when I wasn't a member of a committee or a board yet. And also making them, not making them, but encouraging them to become, join some type of a committee, and that gets them, past their sort of new member newbie status. So those things have worked very well for us. And then I think it was Randy who said that their club kind of goes back 5 years. The way our structure is and the way that we select our presidents is that we have members that may be strongly encouraged or what have you to be involved and to join the board, and they start as sergeant of arms, but it is a 5-year commitment. So if you say yes, then you're sergeant of arms and secretary and treasurer and president-elect, and then ultimately in 5 years president. So it gives everybody the opportunity to learn every role and learn so much about the club, and you feel much more prepared. And I still am like terrified and, oh my gosh, am I going to screw this up? And I have so much to learn, but I have had the opportunity over the last several years to be a member of the board and to be involved and to learn just different aspects. Treasurer was quite a learning experience, but it really prepares members. So looking forward to more ideas on how to keep that going in the training.
Okay, sounds good. Anyone else?
Hey, Kenny, just a suggestion. Piggybacking on some of the inputs Jim gave, many clubs don't have a proper transition plan or transition document. It's always good to start in your cycle. If you don't have one, please document what you learn. A lot of things get lost in transit. And, after a few years, many don't know what happened, why they came up with some decisions within the club. So it might be really good to have some transition document that you can start off in your cycle at least.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Very few do. And I know that some that do will, put a binder together and hand the binder down. We have the opportunity to do electronic folders now. Send those folders to your next in line. Great idea. Because as you said, it gets lost, or as Jim mentioned, the next president or president-elect decides that's not the route they want to go, and you miss that. Anything else?
I just wanted to share, I set up the Rotary Facebook page. So if you want to look for it, so I can add you to the group, it's Rotary District 7600 Presidents 2022 through 2023.
As y'all can see, Tonda is such a slacker. Thank you, Tonda. We'll make sure, as Mickey said and others, we'll make sure that some of these things will bring to your attention again, whether email or in person, so that you have that info. Okay. You want to move to the next slide if we don't have anything else? So you've been asking for a calendar. This is something that we're going to send out as well. We'll probably do something more entailed. Some of them we're still working on, but these are the training that I thought that you should be aware of that's upcoming. Again, these are the virtual ones that we have on listed that you should have received an invitation. Pre-pets will be January 8th, and that will be in person. The district team training is going to be here in Richmond, February 12th. President-elect training, which is PETS, March 3rd through 5th. And then we have district training assembly, April 30th. Go to the next one, I think. We have RLI and
Can you add it RLI?
okay. All right, so the RLI is the 30th and November 6th, I think. So, oh, I'm sorry, I skipped right over it, didn't I? You did add it. So you see Rotary Leadership Institute is something that I would encourage you if you haven't already participated in. And I know it's a big demand for you for this year, but more importantly, encourage your leadership. There's nothing like having your board and your leadership to have participated in this. Let me know if we want to, there's opportunities. I know my year I was able to do RLI 1 with just my board, so that might be something we can look at if you're interested as a group. Rotary Leadership Institute really helps lay the groundwork for what some of this Rotary information is that would be useful. So is there anything else for the good of the cause? We can go to the next one. You have the other slide. These are our contacts. As we mentioned, we are here to help. So if you want to take this and reach out to any of us, that's not just today, that's always, and honestly, even your year as president, we're not going away from you guys. So if there's anything that we can do, reach out to us. As you can probably tell, we're winding down today's training. We have a placeholder for each of these trainings to go from 8:30 to 12:30. And then even the training that's in person, we have a time limit that we have on there. Our goal is to try to present the training to you, try to give you something of value. But if we find that we're done, we're going to be done. We're not going to keep you to that time period. So keep that in mind. I'll turn it over to the rest of the training team if they have anything else to add. But at this point, I think we're winding down for the day. I will say thank you guys for a tremendous opportunity for the time that you spent today. I know there's family and other commitments. Paul, I'll get that Houston conference to everybody as well. But Jim, Tonda, Wayne, Raghavan, do y'all have anything else you want to add?
I have one more thing, and this is for those of you who are accustomed to having homework. I have some homework for you. By the next session, you are to have a virtual background that is a Rotary background similar to the one that Kenny has. And that Rotary background should say what your club is, okay? A virtual background that you can get from the brand center, as Raghavan told you. And you're to download that and come up with a Rotary background similar to the one that Kenny has. So you ought to have a virtual background that is a Rotary background, okay? And of course, if you need any assistance in doing that, you can use either one of the emails that you have there. And most of you have my telephone number and what have you. And just like we said, Kenny says, we're going to be here with you. We're going to go through this together. We want to build the finest team ever in this district. That's it for me.
That's it. Tonda, Wayne, Raghavan.
I just want to say I'm looking forward to working with everybody.
Okay.
Nope,
I'm
nope.
happy to help any way I can.
It's been great. Been great. I think it's been a useful day.
All right. Thank you, guys. So y'all have a great weekend. We'll send some of this other information. You've given us homework as well. So we will take care, we'll take care of sending you the stuff that you've requested. Okay. Other than that, y'all have a great weekend. Training team, if y'all can stay online when everybody goes off, let's just do a quick wrap up, please.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Hey, Tonda, can you send that link for the group that